I get is, does Gumpy know about this? Does Gumpy know about this? I'm like, oh my gosh, that was like May last year. Like, you're still on this, and I still love Gumpy, but there's nothing I can do about it right now.
Yeah. That's great. That's like, of course, he probably, like, he has a phone, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like
we talk regularly. He knows what I'm doing, but that show is just dynamic and really showing us that you can have fun without being negative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's the new norm. Like we were talking about traditional broadcasters on the way out. Like we talk about a Jim Gray, legend, Hall of Famer, does not resonate with people my age or
oh my gosh,
teenagers.
There's no way if you put him on in a room and didn't let people have their phone, and on the other side let people have their phone, they would be listening for 60 seconds. They'd be so deep in TikTok. You're like, there's like, I need something faster. I can still listen to him and still hear it while I'm doing this. It just wouldn't work. And also, like, look, I love Michael Irvin. Cowboys, Cowboys love. But, like, Michael, like, you can't talk about how good the Cowboys are for 20 minutes every fucking week because they're not. They never are. They're never going to be better than a 10-6, 10-7 team. They're never going to make it past the first round. We know this. I went to the last Super Bowl the Cowboys were in Arizona. I was like 95.
Yeah.
That's been a long time. Like, young people don't know that they call them America's team. Some of these people weren't born yet. They don't know we've been to the Super Bowl. They have no idea. Mm-hmm. And then Stephen A., like, he'll just go on a rant. So in the morning, I start my day with Get Up every day. And I start my day with Get Up when Greeny's doing it.
Yeah.
And then at 10 a.m. Eastern time, it switches to Stephen A. And then Greeny goes on ESPN 2. So I'm on the app. So, like, if I have my earbuds in, I'm across the room, and I hear Stephen A. open and start yelling about something, I know I got to run over and change the channel and get to my Greeny because I do really like Greeny. He's
two completely
great.
different personalities.
Totally.
Greeny is the type of guy where I feel like he's approachable. I could approach this guy, be like, nice to meet you. Like, he's just, oh, you're killing it in the space. Congratulations.
Yes. Super kind.
Stephen A. Smith. Not that Stephen A. Smith isn't like that, but I could just tell him, like, he's charismatic. He doesn't take any BS. Like, probably not as approachable. Kind of like Paul Heyman. Like, nice guy, but at the same time, I'm having a panic attack.
Sure.
I don't know what he's going to say to me. Like, am I worthy of being in the same room as this guy?
But, like, Greeny eases in my morning. He gives me, and Greeny covers everything and has great producers. I love Hembo. Like, he's intelligent. I love that they cover baseball. A lot of shows really shy away from baseball. And they give you a little bit of everything. So I feel like if I'm going to do 3 hours in the morning, I want to know what happened last night in the NBA. Because on the East Coast, I don't get to watch all the late games. I like to go to bed, I want to hear about hockey. I'll give you my little taste of everything. And if there's something that really excites me, I'll dig deeper online. Mm-hmm. Whereas Stephen A. will just talk about something for 20 minutes, the same topic. And I'm like, I could have learned 10 things on Greeny right now.
Well, the thing is, like, especially during baseball, like playoff season, October, they'll give baseball 10 minutes. Like when Aaron Judge was breaking the home run record, it's like, oh, they'll bring on Mad Dog and talk for 10 minutes.
Who never pronounces anybody's name right as long as he's lived.
No, I've met him. He's like, Jake, what's going on, man? I'm like, yeah, okay. Nice to meet you, sir.
Yeah.
But Stephen A. Smith, like, you could tell, not a baseball fan. He'll talk about it because it's on the agenda and he has to talk about it.
It's on his rundown.
I appreciate the fact that he only talks NFL and NBA because it's what he loves to talk about as opposed to talking about hockey or baseball. It's like, okay, he has limited knowledge, and I could tell. Like when he did, him and Rogan did the post McGregor Khabib thing on ESPN, and Rogan called him out. He's like, he doesn't know MMA like we do. Like, I shouldn't have been there doing that with him.
No, and Rogan is so fucking good at it.
Yeah, well, it's like, that's his whole life.
Oh my God, so good at it. But like, look, Stephen A., you have great producers. Let them speak for 10 minutes. Yeah. These young producers that we're hearing are eventually going to be in your seat. And so if you don't know something about Greeny does it. If there's something he's not really well versed in, he'll let his producers take it. And then you build a relationship with them too. I like building a relationship with the whole show. And ironically, I would rather listen to Greeny on the radio than watch him on TV.
Really?
I just like
the voice.
The voice. The TV is a little bit more distracting, and when I listen, I'm really focusing on that room. I don't know. I just really listen well when I'm not watching something.
How difficult or easy was it for you to try to kind of transition into being like a host? Because with SiriusXM, it was mostly radio with what you were doing. Obviously, talking about something you were familiar with, but like, was it difficult for you becoming a host?
It wasn't, because I've been studying it for so many years of my life.
Yeah.
And when I first went out on the road in the 90s, we didn't have the internet. You went into a hotel, the only goal was they have HBO and ESPN, right? You would have like 4 channels. And so that was when SportsCenter was the same for like 8 hours overnight. And it would just be the same rotation, which I didn't even mind. I would watch the same rotation for like 3 hours. And so once it became me doing sports radio shows to promote my feature gigs, I really became a fan of sports radio. And so when I would sit there, I would see what I liked, like a good
Yeah.
tease before a break, like, ooh, I want to answer that question. I'm definitely going to sit through this commercial. So curious. And before the internet, you couldn't even Google it before the commercial was over. And so I really picked up on, I was almost like I was studying my craft without knowing it. And those great hosts kept me company when I was alone on the road. For 7 years, I traveled alone. And so the only thing I had to look forward to was a sports page, ESPN. And now I love ESPN Up All Night on the SiriusXM app. It's like Sports Center, but you're just listening to it and it goes through the whole thing over and over, a loop. But so I listened to hosts and I was able to, like, when I sat there, I was like, oh my God, weirdly, I know what I'm doing because I've been listening to so much sports radio. I know how to, like, Greeny is the smoothest with a read. He could be having a conversation with an interview. You don't even know it's over. And next thing you know, he's talking about Indeed. And you're like, oh my God, that was so good. So, and I still study it because you always want to be better.
You're probably already like, you knew what they were going to talk about before they even started talking about it.
Yeah, it does.
That was
happen
me.
that
I was
way.
watching games growing up. I'm like, oh, if they did that instead of that, that wouldn't have happened. And then like Michael Kay on the S Network is like, well, they should have done that. And I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I know, like, this is going to be easy.
Kay. Oh, another great broadcaster, right?
He's the reason I'm probably standing here with you today.
Really?
To get into sports media. I season tickets. I had no friends growing up because people would come to knock on the door. Is Jack home? It's like, yeah, but it's 7:05. First pitch is right around the corner. Like, I never missed a game.
That's amazing.
I turned away like kickball outside in the cul-de-sac. No, I'm watching the game. Sox are in town.
Was your brother the same way?
Not at all. I mean, he's a big fan, but
he would go out and play.
he has a lot of friends.
Did you collect cards?
Oh my God. Underneath my childhood bed, I have binder of nothing but cards. And I have like this one box of nothing but autographed cards, like jersey pieces, bat pieces, all that stuff.
And did you trade them with friends?
Absolutely. There was one time my dad like almost grounded me. I traded a Reggie Jackson autographed card for a guy who you might know as a Mets fan, Rod Barajas, was a catcher.
But still, that was
My
not
friend,
a
for
worthy
whatever-
trade.
For whatever reason, my friend convinced me, dude, it's Rod Barajas. And I went home. And my dad's like, you traded Reggie? Like, for who? I'm like, Rod Barajas. He's like, who the fuck is Rod Barajas?
And by the way, catcher cards had no fucking value. No one could even recognize a catcher because all the gear they had.